We're constantly pressured to do more, to feel less, to take care of it all, and to not fail. We have glorified perfectionism, and we have all fallen victims of having unrealistic expectations for ourselves and others, living life in a constant train of disappointment and seeking control. I am passionate about helping women decrease their mental drama, increase their self-awareness by implementing boundaries, mindfulness, and powerful mindset tools so that they can step into the most confident version of themselves as mothers, as wives, as professionals. I deeply believe that women fear success more than they do failure. And I am on a mission to help turn this around, one episode at a time. I am your host, Olga Lacroix, former therapist, life coach, mother, wife, and this is the Journey to Happy podcast. Interested in giving life coaching a try? Here's your opportunity to do so in a short period of time. My Reset Your Mindset program is starting in January of 2022. This is an intimate group coaching program that combines live coaching calls and video training. You receive weekly lessons through video, and you receive weekly support through Zoom calls with me. This time around, I'm also gifting participants with lifetime access to Detox the Mind online course, a course that emphasizes on helping you create new neurological connections so that you have a happier mind and healthier habits. You can grab your spot by going into the show notes and signing up. We meet for 12 consecutive weeks on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, this program focuses on three main points: creating awareness, setting up boundaries, increasing your confidence. The Reset Your Mindset formula helps you with making decisions with ease, set clear boundaries without drama or guilt, stopping the hamster wheel that keeps you in overthinking mode, switching the mean inner voice for one of confidence and compassion. You will let go of unattainable expectations, and you will be at ease with who you are. Get ready to say goodbye to a constant list of comparisons, to all of the thinking that leads to worry and overwhelm. You will begin to prioritize yourself, and you will feel finally connected to you and to others at a very deep level. 12 coaching calls once a week, 12 weeks, 12 mindset videos, plus the bonus of a lifetime access to bestseller course, Detox the Mind. If this calls your name, if you have been curious about working with me, if you want to say goodbye to your limiting beliefs, understand their root cause, and change them for once and for all so that you can step into that better version of you, anxious-free, confident, clear on what you want and who you are, I invite you to participate. There are only 12 spots available. First come, first served. See you inside. I am sitting here drinking one of my newest discovered drinks, which quickly made it to one of my top 2 favorite drinks. So for those of you who follow me on Instagram at Olga's That Way, and if you don't, you really should, because I am in there giving you daily mindset tips and just showing you around my life and sharing with you my thoughts on a regular basis. You probably know, if you follow me, that I am the biggest fan that coffee has. Like, if coffee brought all of their fans into one place, I think coffee would know I am the biggest of them all. Love coffee. I was born and raised in Colombia. I have always loved the smell of coffee, everything that has to do with coffee, like the culture of coffee. Just love it. Sitting there I'm looking at my favorite chair, which happens to be purple, and enjoying a cup of coffee, dark roasted, no milk, no sugar, just bitter coffee is life. I always say that the smell of coffee is like, it equals somebody saying to me, everything is going to be okay. That's what coffee means to me. Love it. Anyways, I've been noticing, I have no idea if it's age or if it's because my body is like more clean lately or what it is, but I've noticed that lately I can only drink one coffee a day. And if I drink more than two, I'm gonna be up all night. Anybody can relate? I used to take pride in the fact that coffee didn't have an impact in my sleep and that I was fine and good, but turns out that that's not longer the case. So I'm adjusting to the change. I'm only having one coffee in the morning. That's still so perfect. But came across this beautiful, delicious drink from Starbucks, but I'm sure it's not always only at Starbucks. One of my clients was saying she makes it now at home and has all kinds of variations. And it's called the London Fog. So what it is Earl Grey tea, and they steam up some milk of your choice. Mine is coconut because I can't do dairy. And they add vanilla syrup, I guess. I cannot tell you how much I love this because it's not super sweet. I cannot do super sweet drinks, and it's not heavy. I don't drink one of those things and feel like bloated and heavy, kind of like I do when I drink a latte. This is just perfect. And I can, yeah, it's just amazing. So I'm currently drinking one of those amazing teas. And it is the first real snowfall of this winter. So it's absolutely beautiful outside. I just came back from picking up Mateo from daycare. And today's an exception. I'm working after I pick him up from daycare. And the reason being, I've got a lot of things to do and I want all these thoughts percolating in my head and I had to put them to good use. So I called Mateo's favorite person other than me and my parents, and that is Jenny. Jenny is used to be one of our mama helpers here when I was working, and Mateo was still at home before he went to Montessori, and she's university student. She loves Mateo. Mateo loves her. So it's really giving him a gift. Every time I say Jenny's coming, she now is babysitting for us as we need. He's been asking me about her all week. And so today, when my day of work was coming to an end and I still saw so much work that I wanted to get done, my husband is out of town for the weekend. It's like the perfect time to invite Jenny to play with Mateo until supper time, and then I'll just take over. Anyways, long story short, to say, I went to pick him up and it was snowing and we played Christmas music. At the time of recording this, it's late November. And it's so beautiful and dreamy. It is the typical scene of Christmas and winter that looks so peaceful. Is not cold yet, so it's tolerable and it's beautiful. Okay, the snow is fresh and white. And I told Mateo, we're gonna stop and Mom is gonna buy herself some delicious tea, which he thinks is coffee. He only assumes Mom with coffee in his hands, as he should. Is normally what I'm drinking. And I'm sitting here at my desk drinking this delicious drink. And I cannot wait to share with you all the thoughts that are in my head. Having said that, Mateo is in the house. So are my dogs, who get very agitated by Mateo being in the house. So if you hear them in the background, just ignore, okay? We'll do our best to edit any background sounds, but that's my reality right at this moment. I really wanted to get these thoughts out of my head. And I really, and this is how it's going to happen with all of my crew in the house. So, okay, let's get to today's subject. I talked recently about your circumstances not determining your future. And along the lines of that, I wanted to explore a little bit more about our thought process and how we discourage ourselves so often from our goals, from the things that we want, because we may have beliefs that go against that belief that wants it. So if a part of us wants something and a part of us doesn't believe that we can get that something, is usually the part of us that doesn't believe that can get that something that wins the battle, and we give up way before we even actually give it a fair try. Okay. So today I wanted to talk about how it's important for us to learn to not judge our feelings. I cannot stress that enough. And that to me, that teaching came to me through the practice of mindfulness. So if you don't know this about me, I am a certified mindfulness instructor. And for the same amount of years that I've been coaching and helping, I've been a student of mindfulness and a teacher of mindfulness. And mindfulness is very similar to mindset coaching in the sense that it's like an onion that you keep peeling and you keep learning the same concepts, so you just go to a deeper level every time. And so the non-judgment is one that I've studied and I've had fun understanding and applying and teaching it. And so today I'm going to teach you a little bit about it because I was sending text messages to a former client of mine, and she mentioned in the text exchange, she mentioned how she felt about a relative of hers having had a baby. This is a client of mine who is what I call a fertility client. And so she's trying to conceive, and she recently experienced a pregnancy loss. And so as part of her mental coping mechanism is to hate everybody who's got babies, and or in this case to feel indifferent. So somebody close to her who had a baby, and she says she's feeling indifferent. Me being who I am, I want to ask more questions. What does feeling indifferent really mean? And she answered, well, I'm trying to protect myself. From what? From hurt, sadness, and anger. And I said, and how is that working? By trying to protect yourself. And she says, it isn't. And I said, how do you want to feel instead? And she was very clear. I want to feel excited and hopeful. And so I asked her the question that I want to ask yourselves as well. How does avoiding, protecting yourself from having the emotion that you do not want to have help you get to where you want to go? She answered, good question. It hasn't, which obviously I knew. I knew the answer to the question. And so it brought me to want to have this conversation. So I told her, how about, and so she says, but I shouldn't be feeling this way. I shouldn't be feeling angry and sad about a relative having had a baby. It's a baby, for crying out loud. Why can I not be happy? So here's what I'm going to use this example and then I'm going to guide you through the steps. Okay. I want you to look at this mom who lost a pregnancy, who's now being exposed to somebody who had a healthy baby. And as she experiences that new birth, all she's really reliving is her grief, the thing that she did not get to enjoy, the birth of a healthy baby. So what gets awakened is sadness and anger, both feelings that are very common when we're in grief. Like people get angry at God, at life, at themselves, at the doctors when we lose somebody we love. And as a response, she does not feel the feeling. She avoids it. So in her words, she says, I feel indifferent. But when I ask further, she actually felt angry and sad. It's just that she then says, I shouldn't feel these feelings. Anything that begins with I should or should not, read it in your head as judgment. So not only is she in grief and somebody close to her has a baby and the grief becomes more intense, she's now judging her grieving feelings as bad, that they shouldn't exist. So what we then end up with is somebody who's trying to not feel the feelings, and on top of that, judging those feelings as bad feelings and making her existence chaotic, more painful, and opposite to what she wants, which is to no longer feel sad and angry. She's inviting those emotions to stay longer because she's stopping herself from processing them. What we resist persists, my friends. Now, as somebody who's had, I would say, really intense anxiety, for obvious reasons, I've been through a lot. So, anxiety is a side effect of post traumatic stress disorder. I have learned that the more I try to repel the anxious thoughts, the stronger they feel in my body. and the longer they stay. But when I'm courageous enough and I say to the feeling, I'm not going to judge you for existing, you're just a feeling. And I tell myself something neutral, like there is anxiety, not I am anxious. I'm anxious, that's bad. None of those judgments, none of the labels of good, bad, so so. Neutral. I have neutral feelings. In fact, what if we were to think all feelings were neutral? What would be different? We wouldn't be so allergic to feeling what we now have labeled bad, negative emotions. So when we judge our feeling as good or bad, our natural human response is to want to avoid it. So we scroll on our phone indefinitely. We try to think of something else. We stop going to the places where we have these feelings. We go through crazy extents actually to avoid feeling the feelings. And so what happens is that that will be the equivalent of, I don't know, if you were ordering groceries, ordering a ton more of the food that you don't like. Just wouldn't doesn't make sense. But we don't know that. We don't know that by avoiding it, we're growing it, we're letting it persist. There is now a resistance, there is a fight. So often my clients say, Olga, I don't know how to let it go. That's the goal, is to let it go. And I have recently shifted that thinking to let it in. What if you let in anger? So going back to this former client of mine that we were texting back and forth, she asked me in full disbelief. So what do I do? Just be angry? Let myself be angry? I'm like, yep, that's exactly what I think needs to happen here. And don't judge the anger. Anger doesn't mean you're a bad person. That's a judgment. What if you just, I call it mental drama. I call it the dialogue that goes on in the mind with the feeling. What if you separate the story you're telling yourself about the feeling to the feeling? What if you just let the feeling be felt physically in your body? With my clients, we call this sitting in the mud. Nobody wants to like sit in the mud for a long period of time, but sometimes we've got to. That's all we see, mud everywhere. There is no way out of the mud without going through it. And the first step to get through it is by sitting in it. So because we label the emotions as good and bad, heavy or light, we then become the catalyst of that emotion without knowing. So we bring more of the same. Now, when the emotion is good, when it's a good feeling, when you're feeling love, when you're feeling happy, then we jump into attachment. How do I let this emotion last longer? And according to Buddha, that is where suffering begins. When you want to make something last forever, and when you're not ready to understand and accept the impermanency of emotions. So, this is very profound. There's a fine balance between experiencing and attaching. And what I'm here to say is that to get to that fine balance, the first step, obviously, is to bring awareness. I'm having an emotion, I'm labeling or judging that emotion as not good. And as a result, I'm avoiding it, which then in turn brings me to unhappiness for a longer period of time. I'm not letting the emotion be processed. As long as you're human, you're going to have all of the emotions. And if it wasn't for you judging them as good or bad, your response will be very different. And in fact, it might have been the same. Imagine having the same response to sadness that it is to happiness. Imagine living in that place of neutrality, where an emotion is not more than that, an emotion. We don't give it extra meaning. It would allow us to not attach to the good moments and want them to last forever and then be sad when that vacation came to an end. And it would also allow us to experience the human emotions like anger and grief to its totality without making it mean anything more than an emotion that I'm processing. And most importantly, we would achieve this place of incredible mental health, real mental health. because we wouldn't be battling and creating stories about what the emotion feels. This is so recurrent, especially I feel among women, where we judge our emotions. I shouldn't feel this way. Why am I feeling that way? Not only are we like in a painful moment of life, we're then judging that. So then we have where we're feeling plus how we feel about the judgment. Now, raise your hand if anybody here has loved to feel judged. Nobody likes it. And we're not kind judges. We're like terrible judges, right? Like we just go for the heart. So that's all I wanted to say to you today. Allow the emotion to exist. Allow it to be processed through, beginning to end. Do not be afraid of feeling feelings. Really ask yourself, what if I let this emotion just exist and not make it mean anything more than what it is, an emotion? What would I need to do to be able to feel this through? I'd like to remind you that you are courageous, that there's no emotion that could kill you. We feel like this is going to kill me. That's just mental drama. Okay. That's the judgment. This feeling will kill me. That's a judgment. So come back to this neutral place. My favorite thing to do is once I become aware that not only am I having an emotion, that I'm also judging it, and therefore I'm feeling a feeling even stronger. The moment I create that awareness, which by the way, if you're paying attention, that's step one. Bring yourself the awareness that you're judging the emotion and therefore you're trying to avoid it. So once you have awareness, I ask myself, how can I let go of this mental drama? And always the answer is always feel the feeling. So step number 2 to processing an emotion in neutrality is to go to a quiet place, close your eyes, and notice, observe where you're feeling the feeling. And just bring all of your senses, all of your awareness to, oh, I'm feeling the feeling around my chest. It feels tension. There is butterflies, whatever. You describe it in neutral terms. And you stay in that place fully giving attention, okay? Think of your emotions as a child who's tantruming because he needs attention. And once you turn to them and you ask them, what is it that you need? What is it that you want? Just like magic, tantrum over. They got her, they got the attention. Good or bad, they got the attention and they're happy. Your emotions are the same way. They don't want to be ignored. They don't want to be put back in the back burner. They also don't want to be misunderstood. They just want the attention. And so if we take it like the tantrum and we just give this child who's needing attention without making it mean anything, no judgment. My God, you're needy. My God, you're bad. You're good. Okay. Tantrum equals child needs attention. Emotion equals I need attention. You sit quietly, you feel where you feel the feeling. You notice all the places in your body where the feeling is felt until it dissipates. And trust me, it will. And to your surprise, it doesn't take months and years, and it's not awful. Your body might change temperature, you might feel really hot. In the end, you will let it go through you. Those are moments of growth. Those are moments of transformation. And most importantly, those are moments where we allow the emotion to be processed. And here's what I have learned after being a therapist for years and now a life coach. Emotions that are transformed are learned lessons. And then you can finally store them in your library of lessons lived, lessons learned. You move on. The emotions that you do not process, that you avoid, will stay with you for a very long time and will continue to be triggered. And those are the times where we think to ourselves, my God, it feels like I've dated the same guy time after time after time. It feels like I'm always making that same mistake. It feels like I'm always uncomfortable making a mistake. You haven't sat through this discomfort with courage that you can just sit through it, that you can process it. So step number 3 is pay attention to the lesson. Become curious. What did that emotion teach me within this context? And you will walk away with so much wisdom. It's just such a beautiful thing. So the part to remember here is that you can actually be an observer of your emotions. You need to react, you need to fix them, change them, modify them. You just need to notice them. And then you need to open space, hold space, let them be felt. I promise you, nothing is worse than living with that emotion that you have not processed. All right. Talk to you guys next Monday. I hope this was beneficial to you. If you enjoy this type of work, if this spoke to you, if you want to work with me on things similar to this and mindset, I am now accepting new clients for private coaching, for Reset Your Mindset, and I would absolutely love to see you in there. All right. Talk to you guys soon. Sending you all of my heart. And please, please be a kind, neutral observer. That's your job. That's it. Okay. Talk to you guys.